It is not easy being a passionate Miami Dolphins fan. And that's obvious for numerous reasons. And unfortunately, all of those reasons were put on display Thursday night in that loss to the Bills. And I can't help but thinking about going back to my last preview and prediction videos saying, looking forward to going live. Hopefully we're talking about a 2-0 start to the season, a win at home, prime time against a division rival. Obviously, none of that is happening. None of that has come to fruition. We didn't win. We got embarrassed in prime time. We're not going live. I've tried recording this video numerous times, and hopefully this is the winner. But I keep stumbling, and it's hard because there's not the right words. There's not the right energy. There's not the right patience for football. What do you say after what we endured starting that game on Thursday and then where it got led to? And I would say that, and maybe this is being prisoner of the moment a little bit, correct me if I'm wrong, but this has got to be a top 2 to 3 worst moment in the franchise's history. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit more here as we go in through the video. Obviously, we're going to talk some about Tua and what transpired Thursday night. We're going to talk about the game. Just know that it's not going to be a typical recap for all the reasons that I previously mentioned. I can already assume how a lot of you out there feel. If you feel so inclined, I would still appreciate your thoughts in the comments, whether it's about Tua, about the game, about the rest of the season, whatever you want to talk about. I'm all ears in the comments. But like I said, what started as a bad game, a forgettable game, as I was like mentally prepping for this video, I was saying, you know what you should do with this tape is burn it. Just forget this game happened. You got a long extended week leading up to Seattle. Let's just scrap everything. Go into that one clean slate. And we went from that moment, that being down 3 scores, to we're driving, we're about to cut it to 14. I don't think anyone's hopes were super high. And then obviously the play that this game will be remembered for happens when it's 4th down and Tua has the first, but it's in the moment. He probably doesn't know exactly where that line to gain in, and he's a competitor. I know there's people out there that want him to slide. I want him to slide, but in the moment, that's likely easier said than done. We can say it from our couch, much easier than he can say it when he's on the field, and he knows that there's teammates relying on him to get a first down on 4th down. And scrambles, he takes the hit wildly enough from Demar Hamlin, of all people. This is the kind of shit that you would see in a movie and be like, turn that movie off. That's unrealistic. And here we are with yet another concussion. And it's just crazy because if you think about Tua and concussions at this point in time, I got to get some coffee. It's been a night, Dolphins fans. Tua's concussions go beyond football, and it's crazy because it's the announcers. They're covering what it is for their job. They get the reports from the sideline reporters, and it was about, well, you know what, we got a little bit of more time before the game against Seattle. Maybe Tua can progress through concussion protocol. That's not a thing when it deals with the Miami Dolphins, with concussions, with Tua Tagovailoa. When it's the combination of all those things, that's not going to be a thing. I don't want to speculate. That's not what I want to do in this video. We're obviously going to talk about it, but I don't want to say how long he's going to be out or if he's ever going to play again. None of that kind of stuff. You can talk about it in the comments. I'm happy to oblige with conversation there. I just don't want to speculate too much. But this is going to take time, and what that time is, I just don't know. But the craziest thing is, like, when that happens, and clearly Skylar comes in, we don't score, we're still down 21. The game's over at that point in time, and you're just the feeling of, man, it's the Bengals game all over again. It's like, God damn, like, sorry if there was any jumpiness there. I had to pause real quick. But where I was going with this is the idea that when Tua suffered the concussion against the Bengals, it was gruesome. It was obvious. It was the involuntary fencing. It was the stretcher. It was the entire scene. It was the stuff that you don't want. You can't even imagine. There was no questioning it whatsoever. Tonight, it was Tua initiating the contact, delivering the blow, but at the same time, just like the way it hit, obviously it was an obvious concussion. He still had the involuntary hand movement, the fencing, but it didn't feel as bad in that sense, just because he ended up getting up. There wasn't a stretcher. There was him walking off the field. There were the reports afterwards. It wasn't him getting sprinted to a hospital. So it had a different feeling to it. But it was weird though, because that Bengals one was like Tua as a person, like holy cow, like you can't imagine seeing that happen in a football game. You don't want to see that happen in a football game. And tonight it was that. Like I said, it wasn't the ambulance. I'm not trying to downplay what happened to Tua as a person, but when you fast forward to how this scenario plays out, we just committed all the money, all the future to Tua by extending him, by having him not play out the fifth year. This is the franchise guy. He stayed healthy all last year. He proved that he could do it. We went all in. You gave him the extension. You gave McDaniel the extension. Ramsey, Waddle, Tyreek, like this is the core. This is what we're building with. And tonight, like, you can't sit here and say we feel good about this. And like I said, I don't want to downplay anything at all about Tua and the person, about like how that shouldn't be a factor. But now it's that, and now it's like the franchise that's tied to it. So it's scary from all sorts of situations, and you can't help but feel bad for the Dolphins, because they did the right thing by Tua by extending him, by saying, you know what, you proved it last year. You can do it. You put on the weight. You did the jiu-jitsu. You stayed healthy. You've made movements this year to become a better scrambler. Rewarded you. But you can't help but feel bad for the Dolphins. You can't help but feel bad for Tua from the obvious reasons, for his family for the obvious reasons, for Mike McDaniel. How about that moment? That moment with Mike McDaniel coming off the sideline, and like they are dudes. They will describe each other as family. I mean, most people do. That's like kind of like a locker room thing. This is genuine. And when McDaniel goes, and you kind of like looked like he gave him a kiss on the head. I'm pretty sure that he did. And he probably whispered something to him. Like, that's the kind of stuff. It's like, whoo, man, like that hurts. That hurts. Like I said, we could go on for forever. I probably already went too long. We'll have plenty to talk about here over the next however long. We'll find out. But it's crazy because Tua gets hurt, Robert Jones gets hurt, Teron Armstead hurt. When Teron Armstead gets hurt and Robert Jones both get hurt, whatever it was, I don't know if it was back-to-back plays, but they were both out at the same time. And then when Kendall Lamb comes in, this is when Tua was still healthy. You get an immediate pocket collapse from the left side. Tua is under pressure, tries throwing the ball away. You get the third pick, which is the pick six. The injuries are just if you look at beyond just Tua's injury, it's like, holy cow, this isn't good from an injury standpoint anyways. If Teron Armstead misses time, if Robert Jones misses more time, there were so many issues with the offensive line from left to right. Teron Armstead, one, he got hurt. Two, he also had a holding call on a Jaylen Wright run. Robert Jones was not good prior to him getting hurt. Aaron Brewer had some decent blocks, snapping issues. Welcome back to those. Liam Eichenberg, there was a play where Liam Eichenberg left early. He wasn't called for it. He still missed his guy, and the run play got blown up in the backfield. Austin Jackson, I like what we've seen from him in an improvement standpoint. This guy looked like he was playing in sand. There were issues left to right. We talked about Pro Football Focus giving them like a top 5 unit grade last week. They're probably going to be bottom 5. They're probably going to be bottom 5 this week. Like I said, we'll talk more about Tua, obviously, moving forward. But let's talk a little bit about this game, like we said we would. The depth at wide receiver obviously being exposed. Berrios not getting the crazy number of snaps that he probably maybe should at this point in time. Robbie Chosen getting elevated. Grant DeBose being forced into action. Grant DeBose took a ball off the shoulder that hit him in the shoulder. That's where Tua was putting it on him on a crucial play. And not only does it fall incomplete, it technically gets intercepted. And then the Bills score off that turnover on the fourth down pick play for James Cook's receiving touchdown. So obviously Depth at wide receiver, leading to a turnover, leading 2 points off of that turnover. And then Tua's second interception comes on an overthrow to Robbie Chosen. Now, I'm not quite sure if Robbie Chosen didn't get deep enough where Tua thought he was going to sit before that safety, or if it was simply an overthrow. I'd have to go back and watch it. But regardless, 2 interceptions right away to 2 unfamiliar-ish wide receivers. But the problem here is there's really no excuse for this point in time. We've been trying to produce offense from the receiving game outside of Tyreek and Waddle for a long time. This isn't new now. This has been a question mark for a long time. Odell Beckham Jr. is not coming back next week. River Craycraft isn't coming back next week. We need solutions to this, and we need them fast. And now you're probably not having quarterback one, at least for the Seattle game. And like I said, I'm not speculating on a timeline right now, but there's issues, definitely some issues. I'm much more doom and gloom than I typically am in any sort of post-game recap. Holy cow. How about this, though? Mike McDaniel has always been known as a kind of like a genius play caller, but when it comes to the actual implementing of play calls, that's where the question marks come in. And I've always given him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. We're only 2 weeks into the season. It was his first time really doing it the last 2 years. I'm like, yeah, there's going to be growing pains. Tonight was questionable at best, but the biggest head scratchers of them all were the plays right before halftime. And Herb Street and Al Michaels were saying it perfectly. There was zero sense of urgency. We have 3 timeouts. We're down multiple scores. We know the Bills are going to get the ball before the third quarter. And we know points are necessary. It's football. You're down. You got to score points. We're dialing up a backwards pitch play to Demar Achane with under a minute left that loses, 5 to 6 yards? You need to score here. And yeah, we do end up getting a field goal on the drive, but I can't imagine there's a Miami Dolphins fan out there that's watching this that was happy with how that drive played out. Now, at the end of the day, I get running the clock down, not giving the other team a chance to score, especially when they're going to have the opportunity then to double dip in the start of the second half. We were already under a minute to go on the game clock. We're basically at the 50-yard line. You still need to move the ball down the field through the air in order to get that. You're not going to give them that much time. I think NFL coaches get so hung up on the idea of we got to score as time expires. We're giving them nothing. More often than not, you could give them 20, 30 plus seconds and they're not going to do much for it. You have a defense on the field. A lot of times, if they're going to play with the lead, they'll just take a knee anyways. You don't need to bleed it to zero. But like I said, the play call, even when Tua was in the game, it just wasn't there. It left a lot to be desired tonight. Cooked defensively. Holy cow. Anytime a running back scores three touchdowns, 3 first half touchdowns, you know it's a bad night. And I'm not going to solely place this on the Miami Dolphins defense for allowing all those points. Our turnovers on downs, the pick six. Obviously, that puts plenty of stress on a defense. But there were some weird lapses defensively as well. The one that comes to mind right away is, what's Jaylen Ramsey doing? He's letting Ty Johnson run right by him on a scramble from Josh Allen. That's like rule number 1. Who are you? I've seen some people like, oh, he's passing it off. Who are you passing it off to on a play that's already been taking 10 seconds? If a guy's by you, you're going to take him. It's Josh Allen improvising outside of the pocket. That's one of the best things that he does. If there's a guy in your area, you take him. You can't let him get down to the 1. Obviously, they're scoring another I almost called him Dalvin Cook. James Cook touchdown from there. Josh Allen for the night goes 13 of 19, 139 yards and a touchdown. You give me that stat line before the game, I would have thought he probably was the one that got hurt. I don't think Josh Allen has played an easier game in his entire NFL career. If he has, maybe I'm wrong. I didn't fact check myself. Feel free to let me know, but we did not record a sack. I hardly remember him being under much pressure in general. Like I said, I'm not putting too much of tonight in general on the defense, but there's definitely some tape from this game that we can learn from. Dolphins fans, I am going to cut it from there. Probably rambled longer than I should have in the first place. But like I said, just a lot of a lot of rambling because there's not the right combination of words that can describe our football team, the health of Tua Tagovailoa, and just the weight. Remember all of the waiting the year where Tua was just riddled with concussions, and it was every single week. Is he practicing? Did he clear protocol? We're back. We're back. We're back in there, and it might go deeper than that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not speculating tonight. So we'll go out there, Dolphins fans. Hopefully I got better news for you the next time we chat. But until then, Dolphins fans, fins up.